Okay, let's get right into it. Today, we are tackling the definition essay. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Sounds a little dry, right? Like a dictionary report. But it's actually so much more than that. This is a really crucial skill. It's all about taking big, complex, messy ideas and making them feel real and understandable.
I mean, think about it for a second. How do you actually explain something like injustice or misinformation? You can't just pick it up and show it to someone. So how do you define a system failure so that people truly get it? Well, that's the big challenge we're going to solve today.
So first things first, what is a definition essay? The main thing to remember is that we're throwing the one-sentence dictionary entry right out the window. Our goal here is way bigger. We're trying to build a complete, detailed, three-dimensional picture of an idea.
At its core, this kind of essay takes something abstract, an idea you can't touch or see, and makes it tangible. You make it real. And you do that by breaking down its key characteristics in so much detail that your reader walks away with a really deep, thorough understanding of what you're talking about. For our purposes, we're going to focus this skill on one really powerful task: defining a problem. Your job isn't just to say what a problem is, it's to use research to prove that it exists and to show your audience why it actually matters. Honestly, getting this right is so important because it becomes the rock-solid foundation for any research you do later on.
And that brings us to the most interesting part, I think. How do we actually do it? How do we take these abstract ideas and make them feel concrete? How do we turn words on a page into a reality for the person reading it?
Well, the secret is all about understanding the difference between denotation and connotation. Denotation, that's easy. That's the literal, boring dictionary meaning of a word. But connotation? That's where the magic is. It's all the feelings, the ideas, the cultural baggage that a word brings with it. A truly great definition essay lives and breathes in the world of connotation.
Let's look at a real-world example from an article in The Atlantic. Imagine this. During a catastrophic flood, authorities send out this alert. Seems simple enough, right? A clear, direct instruction. Or is it?
And this just nails the problem perfectly. If you're a tourist or maybe you just moved to town, what does higher ground even mean? Where is it? How high do you have to go? Without that concrete, specific context, the instruction is basically useless and it leaves people in real danger. The article uses this specific failure to define a much larger problem with our emergency alert systems.
So how can you build a definition that's as rich and detailed as that one? Well, the good news is you've got a whole toolkit of techniques you can use to build your definition way beyond just a single sentence.
So here's your toolkit. You can dig into a term's origin, you can describe it, you can break it into smaller parts, or you can even define it by what it isn't. Each of these adds another layer of meaning. But for now, we're going to zoom in on two of the most powerful ones: using examples and analyzing causes and effects.
First up, examples and anecdotes. Seriously, there is nothing that makes an abstract idea feel more real than a story. When you share real-world examples or little personal stories, you're showing the term's actual impact on actual people. You're providing the proof.
And this is exactly what the journalist from The Atlantic does. They don't just say the system is broken. They prove it. They tell specific stories of failure, from floods in Texas to wildfires in LA and Maui. Every single story makes the problem more concrete and adds another crucial layer to the definition.
Now, beyond just telling stories, a strong definition also has to explain the why. And that brings us to our next technique, causes and effects. This is where you ask, what leads to this problem, and what are the consequences when it happens? This adds a really important layer of logical analysis to your definition.
The Atlantic article, again, just nails this. It identifies the causes. It's a mix of technological failures and human errors, and then it clearly states the devastating effect. People were left in harm's way. See, this isn't just a description anymore. It's an analysis that really deepens our understanding of the problem.
Okay, let's try a quick practice run, just to see how much context can shape meaning. Take a term we all know, like workaholic. How would you define that? Turns out the answer isn't nearly as simple as it seems.
See, the word itself is pretty neutral, but the context, the story you build around it, is what gives it meaning. You could define a workaholic in a positive light, right? As someone who's dedicated, ambitious, driven. Or you could define it negatively, as someone who is obsessed to the point that they're neglecting their health, their relationships. Your definition is actually an argument.
And that whole idea of making an argument brings us to the single most important question you have to answer in your essay, the so what question. In other words, why does this definition even matter?
Look, a definition without a purpose is just a description.
Answering the so what question is the purpose. This is what turns your essay from just a simple explanation into something that's truly significant. And your answer to this question, that's going to be the engine that drives your entire intro and conclusion.
All right, let's bring all these ideas together and lay out a really practical roadmap for how to actually write your paper.
I want you to think of your paper's structure kind of like a story. The intro is your hook. It introduces the problem. The thesis statement is your core argument, your big comprehensive definition. Then the body paragraphs are where you prove it, using all those techniques we talked about to make the problem real and to explain why it matters. And finally, the conclusion just brings it all home with a satisfying wrap-up.
So as you start your own research, let these questions be your guide. They're going to push you to explore your problem from every possible angle. The more of these you can answer, especially with real-world examples, the more thorough and compelling your definition is going to be. It's going to set such a powerful foundation for all the work that follows.
So there you have it. You now have the full toolkit to take a big, abstract floating idea and make it concrete, make it tangible, and make it significant. The only question left is, what problem will you choose to make real for the rest of us?